Well, let's get back to Jackson Hole, Wyoming now, where we have another special guest with us. Joining us is John Taylor. He's a professor of economics at Stanford University. He has argued that now is not the time to add more stimulus into the economy, given the problems with the budget deficit. John, good to talk with you, and it's nice to have you on the program. And we were just hearing from Nouriel Roubini, who was saying, look, basically the Fed, the government has no more options, or very few options left in order to stimulate the economy. You agree with that?
No, actually, I don't. Of course, I think one of the things that's holding back the economy now is the considerable degree of uncertainty about what policy is going to be, including monetary policy. So I think it would be a good stimulus, if you like, to remove a lot of that uncertainty, to clarify what policy is going to be, to remove some of the disagreements. And I think on fiscal policy, a statement that taxes will not increase on January 1st would be a good stimulus to
You mean to extending the Bush tax cuts, essentially?
Exactly. Not having taxes increase, because the Bush tax cuts, if you don't extend them, taxes are going up.
Well, aside from that, though, what is it that you want clarity on that you think will remove this uncertainty that we've got?
On the fiscal policy side, it's, in addition to what I mentioned on the tax rates, it's a plan to bring the deficit down in a way that's credible to people. The Congress gets together and says, here's how we're doing it. On the monetary policy side, I think it's really an articulation of what the exit strategy is. Is it on hold now, and when would it be put back in place? So that's the kind of thing the markets are looking for, is clarity about what that exit strategy really means.
Well, on the fiscal side, though, John, I mean, some would say you're crazy. You know, why even bother looking at the budget deficit right now when we are still talking about a possible recession yet again here? I mean, the bond markets don't even seem that worried about the budget deficit.
Well, people don't know how it's going to be resolved, so my idea is very simple. Congress lays out a plan to reduce the deficit and the debt over time. It doesn't mean you start instantly, but you don't go the wrong direction instantly. You don't start more deficit spending stimulus, so-called stimulus, because that's not going to work. So I think a credible plan would be wonderful for the markets. The uncertainty I hear everywhere I go, concerns about that, is I think what's holding the economy back. So some of these simple ideas, no tax increases, credible plan to reduce the deficit gradually over time, will do the trick.
But I don't quite understand how you support extending the Bush tax cuts, which will increase the budget deficit, how that parallels to your concerns about expanding this very same deficit.
Well, since right now, that if we keep the current tax system, current income tax rates, that's what the Bush tax cut extension means. Keep the current income tax rates in place.
Right.
That doesn't lose revenue. That keeps us whole with respect to revenue. And then the rest of this is a plan to gradually reduce spending growth. It's doable. There are plans out there to do it. It's just a matter of the political will. A lot of this probably won't be resolved until after the election in November.
Right, until after. I mean, obviously politics plays a huge part in this. On the Fed side, on the monetary side, where politics is not supposed to play a part in this, you mentioned that, you know, we want more certainty, right? We want to know whether or not the Fed is on hold or not. We want to know what their plans are with, with using their tools. What do you gather is happening at the Fed?
Well, I think there's a disagreement about this at the Fed, about how to proceed. And I think if that disagreement can be resolved by looking at the facts, considering the issues, then I think that will help quite a bit. But now what I perceive is disagreement, people wanting to go in different directions. And of course, that creates its own uncertainty. And
that suggests what then about monetary policy, John?
Well, it suggests there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think the way to resolve it is to come out with a plan, I call it an exit rule that describes the pace at which reserves would go back to normal, the pace at which mortgage-backed securities would go down, outline that and not surprise the markets with announcements from time to time. That clarity through an exit rule would do a great deal of help, I believe.
Okay. And before I leave you, John, do you buy into the other economists ratcheting up their views on a double dip here?
Yeah, I don't see it as just a double dip. It's obviously a severe slowdown, to 1.6%, and unemployment remaining high. So this is not a good situation. Unfortunately, the recovery has fizzled, but I don't see a double dip. I see this more as a period where growth is unfortunately too low to create many new jobs.
Okay, John, we're going to have to leave it there.